If we're gonna move forward, this is the next logical step.
I'm ready for you.
Are you sure?
Positive. Here goes nothing.
They made him invisible. Now the unseen stalker reigns. When power corrupts and transparency fades, humanity faces its most terrifying hunter. You can't fight what you can't see.
Hey folks, Maya here. Heads up, there are spoilers ahead, so grab your snacks and let's dive into today's story.
In the opening scene, a rat accidentally burrows into a cage within a military-approved research facility in quest of food and water, only to fall victim to an invisible predator. Next, Dr. Sebastian Kane puts in extra hours in his apartment trying to figure out how to undo a process that makes a living entity invisible. He pauses for a while to watch his attractive neighbor in the adjacent building get dressed. When the woman closes the curtains on her bedroom window, Sebastian's excitement at seeing her undress is dashed. His epiphany occurs when he is pacing the flat, and he promptly tests it on the computer. Shortly after, he finds Linda McKay, his former lover and co-worker, to let her know how successful he is, when he wonders who the man is on Linda's bed during a video conference. Linda responds that Sebastian is no longer interested in her romantic life and turns the camera away from the bed. After demonstrating the revolutionary recipe to Linda, he requests that she contact their other colleague, Matt Kensington, to get the gorilla Isabel ready for a live test. After hanging up, Linda wakes Matt and informs him that Sebastian has finally figured out the reversal formula, so they must get straight to the lab. Linda advises him that in order to hide their connection from Sebastian, they should go in different automobiles. When Matt suggests that they will eventually need to inform Sebastian, Linda promises that she will do so eventually. Matt immediately heads to Isabel's cage to put the invisible gorilla to sleep as they arrive. But the animal scuttles him and flees the cage before he can give it the injection. Matt encounters Sebastian in the corridor while pursuing the beast. Sebastian claims to be the first to get Isabel and starts a $10 bet after getting a tranquilizer pistol. When she is cornered, Matt tries to shoot the gorilla with a tranquilizer but fails. Sebastian strikes the ape with a single shot right away, rendering her comatose. Sarah checks Isabel's vitals, then prepares the gorilla for the injection by tapping it and dousing its limbs and dye. Sebastian takes the syringe from Matt as he gets ready to give Isabel the serum, claiming that he should be given the credit. The serum enters the ape's veins shortly after injection and proceeds to the heart as Isabel's essential organs become apparent. The research team looks on in awe, but when her pulse rate and blood pressure increase, the gorilla begins flailing in agony. The ape goes into shock and finally flatlines, so Linda repeatedly shocks her with the defibrillator. After receiving no reaction, Sebastian asks Matt to give the gorilla an intracardiac injection, but before Matt can do so, her heart begins to beat once more. Slowly, Isabel's body emerges as her situation stabilizes. To celebrate their accomplishment, the study team eats at a fancy restaurant outside. Sebastian recalls their failed romance and insinuates that he wants to reconcile with Linda. His aspirations of rekindling their romance are quickly destroyed though when he tries to kiss her and she pulls away. A few days later, Sebastian reports his findings to a Pentagon oversight group. However, Sebastian informs everyone that he was unable to reverse the treatment, which surprises Linda and Matt. Sebastian informs the committee that while the research team is getting close to a solution, more time is still needed. Sebastian's previous instructor, Dr. Howard Kramer, commends him for his inventiveness and perseverance, but cautions that if he doesn't provide results quickly, the government may simply replace him. Fearing that the government may take over the research when they submit their findings, Sebastian informs Linda and Matt that he wasn't prepared to inform the military of their accomplishment. Sebastian proposes testing on people while keeping the authorities in the dark. Sebastian contends that obeying the rules won't help them, despite Matt reminding him that there are policies and procedures. Sebastian tells them that if they take the project alone, they would have a higher chance of winning the Nobel Prize. Upon returning to the lab, Sebastian informs the other members of the team that he volunteered and that they have been given permission to proceed with human testing. Sebastian notices the team's anxiety and points out that they have successfully returned 7 apes in the last 4 weeks. He emphasizes that if they choose to continue the experiment, human testing would be the next sensible step. Before executing the reversal, Sebastian will remain invisible for 3 days following the operation. Sebastian is adamant on being the first human test subject, even though he is informed on the day of the procedure that he can still back out. Sebastian takes the serum from Linda on the operation table and promises to inject himself so that Linda won't be held accountable in the event of a problem. Sebastian has a tingling sensation in his arm shortly after injecting the serum into his vein. His skin begins to melt away, and he begins to flail around in agony. Emergency medical technician Carter quickly brings the defibrillator next to the operation table after seeing his erratic heart rate. He cries out from the pain, but his heart rate stabilizes before they can shock him. Sebastian's body gradually becomes invisible as he soon loses consciousness. Sebastian eventually awakens after 17 hours. He is unable to close his eyes due to the intense glare, so he instructs Linda to switch off the lights. Linda notes that because they are now translucent, Sebastian can still see when he closes them. Sebastian goes straight to a mirror to see if he has indeed become invisible. Then, to show the rest of the crew how invisible he is, he walks to the lab with Matt and Linda. Later on, Linda lets Sebastian know that if he needs anything, one of the team members would be staying with him, in order to return to the lab in less than half an hour. The remaining members of the team will be on alert before she leaves. Linda informs Sarah that she will return by 8 o'clock and that Carter will visit at 6 moments later. Sebastian approaches Sarah while she's sleeping and strokes her hair to see whether she's awake. Sebastian quickly begins unbuttoning her top and makes unwanted physical contact with her as she wakes up. Sarah asks Sebastian if he's in the room with her and realizes her blouse is unbuttoned. Sebastian is not in his bed when she glances at the monitor, but as soon as Sarah turns around, he returns and settles down. Sarah shares her suspicion to Linda and Matt the next morning that Sebastian may have been with her while she was asleep. But since Sarah is still unsure whether anything happened, she advises them not to face Sebastian. When Matt questions him about why he wasn't in his room, Sebastian responds that he went out to get coffee. The staff gets Sebastian ready for the reversal 3 days following the operation. Sebastian begins to breathe heavily after Matt gives him the serum injection, alerting them to the problem. Matt and Carter restrain him when he thrashes around the table and escapes the straps. Nevertheless, Sebastian kicks Matt in the face, throws Carter across the room, and still gets up from the table. For a brief while, his body is visible before he falls to the ground and loses consciousness. When they finally get him back to the table, he lost his pulse, so Matt gives Sebastian CPR. After a while, his pulse comes back, and his body gradually fades back into obscurity. Hours later, when Sebastian awakens, Linda informs him that he nearly passed away. They create a latex mask to make Sebastian visible as he moves around the lab. After he informs Linda that he has to make some changes if he wants to stay invisible, Matt frantically attempts to figure out how to undo the process without killing Sebastian throughout the course of the following several days. Sebastian becomes irritated after being confined to the lab and going through many examinations after 10 days of invisibility. One evening, Carter is the only one in the lab keeping watch over him, so Sebastian makes the decision to walk out. Carter calls the other members of the team to inform them about Sebastian's departure without being able to stop him. He chooses to amuse 2 children in a car by displaying them his empty halls as they are traveling on the highway. While Linda leaves to inspect Sebastian's flat, she asks Mac to go to the lab. Sebastian sees his neighbor changing her clothes in the next building as he returns home. He reluctantly makes the decision to use his invisibility to have a closer look at the woman as Sebastian rings the bell many times. The woman unlocks the door and exits the room. Sebastian sees the woman brushing her hair as she returns inside. The woman then looks around the room in a panic as he adjusts the mirror. Sebastian begins to push himself on her as she pulls away from him. When Linda gets to Sebastian's flat, she sees his clothing and mask on the bed. After having his way with his neighbor, Sebastian notices Linda enter his apartment through the window before going back to his house. He waits for Linda to leave as the remainder of the study team gets ready to search outside for Sebastian. Lab technician Frank Chase gives them tranquilizer guns back at the lab. Sebastian quickly shows there and informs them that he only ran home to get a few items. Linda warns him that if he tries to leave the lab once again, she would go directly to the committee. Since Sebastian has remained invisible for a far longer period of time than the animals, Linda expresses to Matt her worry that his invisibility has begun to have an impact on his mental state. As Carter puts him through some medical examinations, Sebastian admits that he enjoyed playing with a woman outside. However, on a lab simulation, the procedure fails. Sebastian tells Linda that he has turned into a prisoner in the lab and is frustrated that he is unable to utilize his invisibility. Sebastian responds to Linda's claim that he is not a prisoner by pointing out that although he is confined in the lab, Linda is free to walk outdoors and spend time with her partner. Later that evening, Sebastian takes a piece of electrical equipment from the lab and plugs it into his room's camera so that he may record a looping video of himself dozing off on the bed. When he goes to Linda's flat, he discovers that she has been seeing that. Sebastian interrupts Matt and Linda as they start to make love by smashing the window next to the bed. Frank informs Linda that Sebastian is in bed when she contacts the lab to see whether he has escaped. Enraged and envious, Sebastian returns to the lab. The unseen dog's barking annoys him as he paces the facility, so he snatches it and bangs it against the cage's walls until it dies. When Sarah questions him about it, Sebastian says he was asleep when the animal died. They come to the conclusion that Sebastian never left the room after watching the surveillance tape. Linda is working from home when she is startled by sounds coming from all around her. She rushes to the lab to check on Sebastian. Although she can't locate him in his room, Linda can see him laying in bed on the video monitor. After realizing that he has been playing a video loop of himself in bed, she asks everyone on the crew to return to the lab. Sebastian observes the study team as they arrive while strolling around the parking lot. Unbeknownst to Matt and Linda, Sebastian accompanied them to Dr. Kramer when they went to report him. As they depart, Sebastian assaults and drowns Dr. Kramer in the pool. By the time his wife arrives to the pool, Dr. Kramer has already passed away. The following day, Linda tries to phone Dr. Kramer when she gets to the lab, but she learns that he drowned in the pool the night before. The phone lines abruptly cut off as she tries to reach another oversight committee member. The security system prevents Matt and Linda from using the elevator as they attempt to exit the lab. The study team soon finds out that their lab access codes have been cancelled. Janice Walton, the lab tech, slips behind as she reaches for a thermal goggle. As the crew begins looking for Sebastian, suddenly, Sebastian shows up at the door and uses a foreline to strangle her. After failing to locate Kramer, Linda informs Sebastian over the intercom that the committee is already aware of his actions, but before Kramer could inform anybody about him, Sebastian confesses that he killed him the night before. The crew quickly discovers Janice is gone using a thermal Google. They find her dead body inside a locker in order to activate motion detectors. Linda requests that Frank restore their access codes as Linda leads them. Matt and Carter prepare themselves with tranquilizer pistols when they spot someone going through the hallways in search of Sebastian. Matt finds that the heat is coming from the vent, but Carter notices heat signatures behind the pipes. Sebastian hides on a ceiling pipe and snatches Carter while Matt isn't looking. When Matt tries to shoot him, he misses and strikes a pipe. Sebastian throws Carter toward the wall while Matt keeps shooting. Matt's thermal goggles are useless. Sebastian surrounds himself with heat from the pipes. Matt reaches for a fire extinguisher to use against Sebastian after running out of tranquilizers. Matt can see Sebastian thanks to the fire extinguisher's smoke, but he still finds it difficult to strike him with a punch and a kick. Sebastian pushes Matt to the ground, but Linda comes to save him. After Sarah learns that Carter had lost a significant amount of blood, she takes many bags of blood from the walk-in refrigerator. However, she hears movements, so she pours blood all over the floor to see Sebastian's footprints. Although she is able to spray Sebastian with blood, Sebastian confronts her and uses the tranquilizer rifle to shoot her, but he still ends her even after rendering her unconscious. Frank departs in search of Sarah with Matt and Linda, leaving Carter's lifeless body behind. When they find Sarah's corpse, Sebastian comes out and stabs Frank with a crowbar. He then locks Matt and Linda inside the refrigerator after stabbing him in the lower chest with a metal rod. Returning to his room, Sebastian puts on his mask and gets ready to leave the lab. Linda uses duct tape to bandage Matt's wound and uses a magnetic metal door handle to get out of the refrigerator. After dragging Matt out of the freezer, she warms him up by lighting a fire. Sebastian, in the meantime, collects ingredients to make an explosive in order to blow up the lab and hide his misdeeds before going to the elevator. He places the chemicals in a centrifuge and sets a 5-minute timer. When he gets to the elevator, Linda stops him and uses a flamethrower to set him on fire. Sebastian gradually removes his charred clothing after exiting the elevator, regaining his invisible status. Linda turns on the sprinklers by using the last of the gasoline on the flamethrower, but he manages to ambush and overpower her. Matt saves her by using a crowbar to knock Sebastian unconscious. Sebastian strikes a fuse box after Matt blocks his attempt to strike him with the crowbar. Sebastian's torso is partially exposed while he is electrocuted. Matt and Linda find the homemade bomb Sebastian built, so they go to the elevator in the hopes of climbing the ladder that leads outside. The homemade device detonates as they ascend, blasting the elevator upwards and causing Linda's shoulder to scrape. After that, the elevator is dragged back down, but it halts before it can strike Matt. Sebastian drags Linda back down as they begin ascending the ladder once more. Sebastian gives Linda a final kiss as she tries to break away, explaining that it's just for nostalgia. As they share a kiss, Linda reaches for the elevator's wiring and disconnects it with her foot, and Sebastian plummets to his death down the elevator shaft. Linda clings to the wire. Firefighters rush to extinguish the fire as Linda and Matt quickly exit from the flaming structure. So that's it. If you enjoyed this movie, share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to check out the recommended movie on your screen right now. Watch it and join Mahi's Movie Recaps.